welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another edition here, another broadcast on the CranKy Ducklings. I'm Coach Side VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players. By the people in the chat, by my plushies as well. Welcome to the FSL Showmatch Pros versus Joes. Shout out to the Family Star League. For those who are unaware, FSL, the Family Star League, they've been running events for a very long time, or I should say, Psystorm has been running events for a long time. Has been running FSL events for quite a number of years, and they usually do vary things up. Sometimes they have, you know, a GSL kind of like format tournament with the group stage and the playoffs. Sometimes they have these big team league matches with some drafting involved as well. But here we have something different. Here we have the Pros versus Joes edition of the FSL. Essentially, every single edition, and there are many planned ahead of this, they're going to be bringing in a pro player, and we do have a plethora of diamond players, of FSL players, to go up against them. This is kind of in line with what we've already been covering when it comes to the La Comunidad show matches. What I'm referring to is that we've already casted a couple of show matches featuring MC, Bian, Dark as well, and Sue. Basically, they bring in these big pro names, and then they have the Latin American community come up against them. We have 2v1s, 3v1s, that sort of thing. The VODs are available on YouTube. Homeowner is another one that comes to mind as well, where they did feature the Koreans up against, you know, the Latin American community, if you will. Here, it's something similar, except it's FSL. So we have the FSL boys. Basically, there is a team of more amateur players that do rise up here to the challenge to bring Serral down. Oh boy. Personally, I feel like we probably should have built up to Serral. I feel like I feel like Serral, you know, he's the best Zerg player in the world. So I feel like we're peaking early, but I mean, you know, regardless, it is a fun event nonetheless. And I believe this was the initial proof of concept, to see how it would work, to see if anything would have to be refined, to see how things turn out and how comparable and how competitive this is. So let's go. I'm ready. I'm excited. As we switch the scenes over and catch up on the upcoming matches here, we have Serral up against a different duo of FSL players. First, we have Serral versus Green Empire and Revenant Rage. We have Nuke, War Bunnies, Revenant Rage and Nuke, and War Bunnies and Green Empire at the end. So it looks like we have, you know, a setup team of 4 different players, and we are going to be mixing and matching them in between each other to go up against Serral in this 1v2 best of 1 format. Now these are going to be best of 1s, bear that in mind. These aren't full best of 3s or best of 5s, so just best of 1s here. So we have 5 matches in total, 2v1, all ganging up on Serral. Let's go, Pappy. Let's go. Let us go. Game 1 is going to be on Breakwater, and we'll see how this turns out. I don't really know what I'm about to stumble into. Again, we have casted some of these formats, show matches in the past. We'll see how Serral can compete and can compare. Likewise, as a reminder, this is a replay broadcast. Again, these matches were held quite some time ago. I mean, like a week ago. 2 weeks ago, but we'll also be going over the interview. They did have an interview at the end, so we'll be trying to go over that as well. For now, though, we're jumping into game number 1. Let's go. Game 1 is going to be on Breakwater between Serral, Green Empire, and Revenant Rage. Oh boy. And spawning. Oh god. Never mind. Spawning in the right hand corner of Breakwater. Actually, I think I wasn't fully aware, but this is a custom mod, I believe. So I'm probably gonna have to change my UI. Huh. Interesting. What works? What doesn't? We're gonna find out together. Is this better? Hold on. So this is a custom 1v2 mod, so because of that... Okay. Interesting. Hold on. I might just cut to a break. I'm gonna actually switch between a bunch of UIs, and we'll see what works. My apologies, didn't realize that this might be an issue. So, one moment. I'll be back soon. And we are back. For now, I believe this is going to be our best bet. And spawning in the right-hand corner of Breakwater, we have our duo. We have our American Zerg player representing the FSL, Team FSL, if you will. We have GreenPyre alongside his teammates, alongside the Red Protoss Revenant Rage. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the Finnish Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Basilisk. It is Serral. Intros should be a little bit broken when it comes to their text, when it comes to what they say, but all in all, we are jumping into our 1v2. Someone asking, what kind of mod is this? I'm actually not entirely certain, I'll be honest. I'm not entirely certain as to the mod exactly, but it has allowed for the 1v2 format, where we have Serral up against our two players here. Usually, the way that we actually did this for the Latin American community show matches was that you'd have Serral load in with a partner, and then they'd instantly leave at the start of the game, and Serral, he would start with two bases. He'd start with two, or I should say the pro player would start with two bases and two base saturation up against the duo. Here, this is straight up 1v2, where Serral, he begins alone. He begins alone on his own. There is no partner, there is no extra base. Is up against basically a two base setup. So this is a little bit more, I would say, like hardcore. There's a little bit more intense of a way to approach the 1v2 format, whereas in the community, the Latin American events, they would at least give them an extra base. Here, the pro player starts off with one. From here though, welcome on all to Breakwater. Breakwater is a 2v2 map, from my understanding, and I believe it's one of the newer 2v2 maps as well, so it's great to see it here once again. And when it comes to the UI, it's a little bit less than ideal, but at least we have our production tab split, and we have more or less, we can handle it. It's okay, it's okay. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We could probably clean this up a little bit, not gonna lie, but it'll do, Bobby, it'll do. When it comes to openers so far, Hatch Gas Pool looks like a standard opener out of our Zerg player. Likewise, 2-gate opener out of our Protoss. Interesting 2-gate opener into a Twilight Council. This is a little bit inefficient from Revenant. I say inefficient. This is more of an aggressive start from Revenant Rage. With this, we can open up with double Adept Harass, but we're making a Zealot first. Okay, this is very, very, I think I want to say safe play here by our Protoss, but this tells me that they're falling behind in certain aspects. We're going one base, 2-gate opener, Zealot into a Twilight Council, and Robo as well into a delayed expansion. There's still no expansion either, so again, as a reminder, our players here are Diamond, varying levels of Amateur is maybe a better way of putting it, some being a higher Diamond than others, so we'll see how our players do work together. More importantly, that's going to be a big factor coming into this 2v1 format, is being able to have that kind of team cohesion coming up against Serral of all players. Serral, meanwhile, Hatch Gas Pool, DNA Foster third base as well, being quite greedy here. Droning Lings are just now going to be on the way. We are chipping away at the expansion here across the map, and so far Serral, he's just calming things down. We have our first take of choice, going to be charged here from our Protoss player, but again, this is very late. It's really late charge comparing to like what our setup was. Shield battery on the way as well. I think what bothers me the most a little bit here when it comes to the opener of Revenant Rage is that this is a 2v1, and this feels like he's playing a 1v1, as in like with the early Zealot, with the early shield battery as well. You have your partner to help support you. You have, you know, you have GreenPyre here to help you out when it comes to Ling aggression and Ling harass. Speaking of, there we go, Banelings are on the way, Adepts move down, which is why it feels like a bit of an overreaction opening up 2 gates and opening up shield battery when you have your partner to help you out when it comes to early game defense. Serral, he does rotate over towards our right hand side, heads into the mineral line so far, getting a drone, nothing major. One drone goes down. Likewise, a unique third base was taken here by our Zerg, by GreenPyre. Because of that, Serral, he, I believe, hasn't scouted. Oh, is he about to? He's not. So he hasn't scouted, he hasn't seen the third. It is almost a ninja base here, as it is very far off to the side, but there we go, is found. A drone is going to be going down. Nice pick off here by Serral once again. Behind this, GreenPyre is going into, from Banelings into Roaches. Interesting. So once again, it feels like we're taking in one direction, then kind of switching gears into another. Ling Bane opener into Roach play. Do we not have Bane Ling speed? No shot. Okay, we do. Okay, we're all good, As Lings get across the map, they try to threaten the queens. There should be a transfuse. Yeah, there we go. One transfuse available. Queen going to be barely staying a little bit longer. It is eventually going to go down. Oh, can he get it? Barely not. The queen does survive. Back at home, Serral he holds. Serral himself is also getting into roach play. Likewise, Green Pirate's trying to keep up with that roach aggression. Lings get across the map. Once again, more drones going to be going down. And this ninja base, this base off on its own, it's now hurting Green Pirate more than anything. It's just more difficult to actually rotate towards to defend. Lings, they will be dealt with eventually by these banelings. Oh, they are dealt with, but still better trades with Serral. He does stifle the economy. He does contain Green Pirate onto two bases. At the same time, Lings, they come in from the left-hand side. And once again, we are struggling to defend. This time here at the third base, no side defense. So there's a shield battery here towards the main base, but not here at the, I said third. This is the natural base here of Revenant Rage. And because of their slow expansions, because of how delayed this natural is, they're not really a factor. I'll be honest, they have two gateways, they have charge. They can't really warp in too much. They're not really going to impact the game state here, or at least the fights, in any major way anytime soon. So Serral is enjoying himself. He's getting a solid economy. He has a better economic game state than any individual player. I say that we do see that Green Pirate's finally getting up to full 3-base saturation. Likewise, Serral is there as well. Is already there. Getting behind this, double Evo chambers, double upgrades on the way from Green Pirate. Triple Evo. Let's go. Triple Evo chamber even. Okay, we even have one here at the natural. Getting into all the upgrades. Well, calm down. Oh my god. What's another Evo chamber? From here, getting into upgrades, getting to roach production. But Serral, he's kind of looking comfortable already. Getting a fourth expansion, his 4-base setup is very well secure. 1-1 on the way, roaches are building up. And on the flip side here, are we ready for an assault? Are we ready for a push? Because Serral, he's gearing up for one. He's gearing up his roach ravager. Ooh, a bit of a missed rally here by Green Pirate is going to be, does pull his drones back. We have Zealot Immortal here from Revenant Rage, but again, the Immortal count is very low. It's a very low economy, just now getting up to 2 bases. It does feel like our Protoss player here, unfortunately, is unable to really support too much here when it comes to the upcoming fight. It's mainly going to be about our Zerg player, about our Roach army that we are still trying to build up. Oh, taking into Hydras. Taking up a little bit too quickly here. Taking up a bit too quickly. Roaches are necessary to survive, otherwise Serral's just going to roll over these two players. Here we have a split push, we have roaches on the right hand side, distracting the main army, and here comes Serral towards the center, towards the base, and alas, the entire army is distracted. We have Revenant Rage trying to hold his own, but again, it's only one Immortal. Yeah, it's going to be surrounded. It's going to be surrounded, going to be completely shut down. Immortal's going to fall, Zealots as well. And with that, there's barely an army left here from the Protoss. There's one Immortal remaining. Another shields! No, the shields get triggered, it gets targeted down. Likewise, behind this, we have Green Pirate stepping in. Moving forward with his queens, but no creep. No creep, no transfuse. This army is vulnerable, and Serral, he knows it. And he's going to sub-step forward. He's going to sub-step forward. He's going to dive on top of the army here. Queens are falling one after the other. The Biles! Oh my god, they connect. And in the opening match here of the FSL 2v1 Joes versus Pros, the Pro is going to take the win. He's going to take the win. He's going to snowball out of control. There's just nothing to stop him. Does step forward, takes down the Queen. And with that, Serral is getting out of hand. He's getting out of control. And again, at this point, it is a 1v1, and Serral is overwhelming. Green Pirate did end up in a decent economy here, even up to 4 bases, but maybe a little bit too greedy. Did take a little bit too long to focus on their army, and there it is. GG, well played. Less than 3, Pappy, less than 3. Green Pirate does tap out, and Revenant Rage soon to do so as well. GG, GG, well played. Serral will take the first win. We go. Are setting up, and Serral does claim the first win here, but again, we have a plethora of duos waiting for him. Up next is going to be Nuke and War Bunnies. They're going to be a separate FSL duo that are going to be stepping into the ring, and then we're going to be mixing it up. Then we're going to be switching partners and kind of filtering out some players and seeing what combination works best here. What combination does work best. Again, when it comes to the previous duo, I would be curious to ask, you know, what their experiences are when it comes to 2v2s. It didn't feel like they were working too well together, or it felt like, yeah, as I was mentioning at the time, especially when it comes to Revenant's opener, it did feel like very 1v1. Like, it felt like he was a little bit more concerned with keeping himself alive, more concerned with taking care of himself, less so having too much reliance on his teammate to help with that, to allow himself to be a little bit more greedy when it comes to his opener, when it comes to his build. So overly safe did set him behind, and because that, he had a really hard time getting into that mid game alongside his teammate. But now we're getting into our next game. We're going to be loading into Rascallion, and again, up next we do have Serral against a duo of Nuke and War Bunnies. Let's go. Let us go. Someone asking in the chat, what rank are our Joes? Were our Joes? For the most part, like around Diamonds. From my understanding, they're like within the leagues of like Diamond 3 and Diamond 1, but we might have some Platinum players as well. Regardless, we have our amateur lineups here, and I believe mostly Diamond. Mostly varying levels of Diamond. Stepping in. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Rascallion, we have our duo. We have our Protoss and Terran. For the FSL, we have War Bunnies as well as Nuke. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have their opponents. We have the pro himself. We have the Finnish Zerg player representing Basilisk. It is Serral. Go. Do jump in. So far, so good. So Rascallion is one of the, I mean, it's one of the 2v2 maps that's been in the map pool for a very, very long time. And the added benefit of this map, which is similar to the previous one, which we didn't really get to talk about, is the shared main. But not just a shared main, we have a shared natural as well. So I want to say that, yeah, I want to say that our players should be feeling a little bit more confident going for more economic openers, and already a better start here. You can see both War Bunny and Nuke going to be working together, walling up and walling off here on the low ground, setting up for faster expansion. So already it feels like our duo here have a little bit more experience even working together in 2v2, maybe on the 2v2 ladder. So already I'm feeling a little bit more confident here in our Joes. Let's go, baby, let's go. Already stepping it up. Likewise, we have Serral going Hatchcats pool, standard opener. When it comes to this format, we haven't really spoken too much about like the 1v2 setting, but what I will say here is that when it comes to this setting, when it comes to Serral going up against two other players, I do think that Cheese is going to be almost an insta-win. Like, I can imagine like ZVZ, Serral versus two Zerg players, and they both 12 pool, or they're both 13-12. I'll be honest, I don't think there's a way to survive that. I don't think there's a way to stop that. Even with good control, you're limited by the units that you have available. So I appreciate that for the time being, at least, we haven't gone for any all-ins or any rushes. I do think that's a weakness, at least in this iteration of 1v2. I mentioned before that the way that the Latin American community kind of solved that is that they would have a partner join Serral, for example, then insta-leave, which means Serral would begin with 2 bases. He'd begin with 2 base saturation up against two players with individual 1 base saturation instead, to help like make up for that kind of scenario, make up for that setting. Because otherwise, in the straight up 1v2 that we're seeing here, I do think that early game rushes and like proxies and cheese, I don't necessarily think that Serral can or a pro player can survive against that. But I mean, we might actually see that at some point in these show matches. For now, we're just probing up, getting up to 2 base saturation, working up towards a longer game state, which I appreciate. I do appreciate. Is going to be a Stargate opener here by War Bunnies. Going for Stargate into Our Dimension Oracle. We could open up like Void Ray first. Okay, there it is. Void Ray first. The goal should be to hunt down these Overlords. Hunt down the Overlords to deny vision and to keep Serral in the dark. Likewise, we do have our Terran player here just opening up 1-1 into a faster TC. I appreciate this overall economic builds. Standard opener out of our Protoss player. A little bit more of a greedy build here by our Terran player, going 3rd CC before Starport. I say 3rd CC before Starport. This is 3CC 2-1-1. Mate, Nukes, he knows some builds. He does know some builds. Okay, so with this, ooh, This is a unique variation, is what I'll go that far. So it is 362 on 1. So typically, the purpose of a 2-on-1, the reason why you would get a second Rax before the starport is to rush into early stim into a heavy bio count. But we can see there's no add-on swap. We can see currently the tech lab is on the factory. We're going for an early tank, which means we're going for a delayed stim here from Nuke. So it isn't going to be that early stim timing that we would expect. Unless, actually, do we add-on swap? Unless we add-on swap to rush into stim. As the tank has arrived. Starport's on the way. And so far, I don't see an add-on swap here. So, again, okay, there we go. Gonna be building the tech lab on the racks instead. So, this is a bit of a more inefficient variation of 3C2 on 1, but I appreciate it nonetheless. It is what looks to be a bit of a safer start instead. And this is where, like, this is a little bit inefficient. We invest into the early tank to defend against something like an all-in, but there's nothing coming. But they have to rely on this because there's no scouting information. You can see here that despite going for the Void Ray into the Oracle is staying back at home. We didn't really get much vision across the map. I believe we had a... actually, it doesn't seem like we actually had much of a Reaper opener, or it did, but the Reaper did go down. So because of that, we're playing overly safe because we're lacking information. So it makes sense why they would play like this, but at the same time, it would also be nice if we were able to get some harassing damage across the map. We have +1 air attack? Huh. Okay. +1 air attack is on the way here from War Bunnies. We're making additional oracles, and that's double Stargate. My apologies. Okay, I missed that. Double Stargate here from War Bunnies. It looks like we want to try to rush into Skytoss, or maybe even just mass Oracle. It was double Void Ray into Oracle. This is getting interesting. Okay, show us what you got. Whether we go mass Oracle, mass Void Ray, or into a Fleet Beacon, we'll see where Warbody takes us. More Void Rays are on the way. Okay, so it looks like a, yep, mass Void Ray. Mass Void Ray here from War Bunnies. Meanwhile, you can see that they're both setting up defensively. And once again, I appreciate that we're working together here. We have cannons, shield batteries, tank lines. Like, they are in unison, kind of expanding and moving out together here. I do think that this is still overly safe. But they're playing overly safe because they are lacking scouting, so they don't really know how greedy they can be and what they can get away with. 4th TC on the way, double upgrades. We have the Spire here from Serral. Interesting. Checking out Serral's in the main. He sees everything. like on the flip side, when it comes to our duo lacking information, Serral, he knows all. He sees more Void Rays being built. He is about to confirm both Stargates, and he gets eyes on the bio commitment from the Terran. So he knows it's going to be bio tank from the Terran player. He knows about the mass Void Ray from the Protons. And there's a Fleet Beacon. So Serral, he knows all. With that information, what's he going for? Mass Muta. Now, Mutas head-to-head are going to struggle against this kind of army, but harassing, they're going to be ideal. Now, my concern for Serral here, and what Serral is hoping for, he's hoping for he can move out unscattered, which will happen. Mutas have not been scattered, so he can bust in, he can get some SCV damage, and ideally he forces this army back home. If we end up in a base trade, if the Mutas counterattack and the Void Rays push in, I feel like this base may just go down. So this is a risky maneuver here from Serral. He is taking a chance, he is making a risk, and we'll see if it pays off. As more Void Rays are amassing, Mutas, they do dive into the bases. Yep, Mineral Land is completely exposed, and the SCVs are going to be going down. SCVs will be falling one after the other. Void Rays are forced to recall. There it is. And that's what Serral wanted. He's forced them to stay defensively. SCVs are falling one after the other. Oh my god, a lot of dead SCVs. Diving on the Void Ray. Void Ray goes down as well. Oof. Catching up the Oracle. The turrets are on the way, but they're not going to finish. Not going to finish. Not after this here. That's going to be, what, 16 SCV kills already? Oh. And they just have to avoid the Void Rays. They just avoid the Void Rays. They back off. Once they arrive, you just respect them. You kite away. You catch out a couple of free mules. And so far, Serral does trade well. He confirms the carrier production. Oh, and we do see the Terran knocked down to 47 SCVs. That's 2 base saturation. Likewise, Protoss also under fire as well. Also stuck on 2 base saturation. Minimal workers. More probes going to be going. More workers going to be falling. And between the two of them, oh god, that's quite a lot of dead SCVs. I didn't realize how many. I assumed an entire mineral line, but more workers are going down. Tanks getting caught on siege. Oh, look, the tanks! No! The tanks were on siege! I was gonna say over 40 dead workers here between the two bases, and we're still going up. We're still going up. 40 dead workers. Now Void Ray is gonna be falling as well. And the mass meter is getting out of hand. And at this point, at this stage, even though we're getting into Skytoss, mutas they can fight. Yeah, they've hit critical mass. They can just turn around. They can fight the Void Rays one after the other. Void Ray is going to be falling. Likewise, Carrier does come in. We could honestly dive on top of the Carrier as well, but there are some Stalkers to support. And alas, Serral, he will respect. He will respect those Stalkers. He will retreat. He will back off. The Bio Army having a hard time keeping up. We have CCs floating all over the place. We're on a 3-base economy here, but we're trying to rebuild as many SCVs as possible. Still in shambles here. Still barely any saturation in the main base, and the aggression continues as Serral, he does go for another Link Flood. Now, he cannot fight the Bio head on. He's going to go for it, though. He's crazy. The Marines, they stim and they win. They shut down the Lings. Without Banelings, the Bio Army is terrifying. I mentioned this before, that Serral, he cannot fight the main armies head on. He has to harass, he has to counterattack. He was able to catch out the Void Rays, but this Bio Army with Mass Marine is something to be respected, and Serral, he has to avoid it. And he will. He avoids the SCV, sorry, he avoids the Marines, goes for the SCVs instead. And now we have Banelings morphing in. Now he's getting ready for the Bio. Massing up Ling Bane. Muta still wreaking havoc in the main bases as well. And Nuke is getting pulled apart. Nuke just cannot keep up with this. He's relying here on his teammates to defend, but remember, I believe these are Blink-less Stalkers. Yeah, they're no Blink. Blink was never researched. Twilight Council was never thrown down. Remember, it was meant to be pure Skytoss. And my big criticism at this point, you have confirmation. It is mass muta. We're not stopping muta production. Phoenixes. Phoenixes, instead of committing into Void Ray, into Carrier, this is where I have to place the blame a little bit here on our Protoss player for not respecting the mutas enough, because this happens. The Carriers are expensive. They go down one after the other. If you don't go Phoenixes, at least Blink Stalkers, but again, very immobile, and the Stalkers, they just cannot keep up. Not in this defense. Meanwhile, I appreciate that Nuke, he has faith in his boy. He's like, yo, you need help back there? He's like, no, I got this. I'm good. I'll be fine. He's like, okay, let's go. He does stand his ground. Tanks on siege. Yeah, tanks going down one after the other. Massive pickoffs. Banelings rolling in. And the Bio Army, it's going to go down. There's no escaping this. Does kite back, but the Ling Bane does trap him, and the Bio Army crumbles. And with that, Serral deals with one army. Now he can deal with the other. Now it's just a vanilla Stalkers. Remember, there's no Blink. He cannot escape. Phoenixes, now they begin. We got there in the end. We got there in the end, but we got there a little bit too late. Too little too late here. Now we've realized, oh, we're committing into mass muta. This is a problem. We cannot deal with this. We have to make the Phoenixes, but the damage has already been done. We got there in the end. Did get there in the end. And I'm sure next time they're up against mass muta, they'd be more willing to embrace that tech switch, as tanks are falling one after the other. Serral diving on the main army once again, dealing with one army at a time. Resetting that carrier count. Carriers against this many mutas, they cannot hold their own. GG gets called. And Serral will take down War Bunnies and Nuke. GG. GG. Whew. Oh my god. GG, well played. I do believe that Nuke and War Bunnies, they did work a little bit better together here compared to the previous duo. I think they were able to hold their own. I appreciate the initial openers and the initial builds that they went for. But I would say my biggest criticism for our duo here is just lack of scouting. Like, honestly, if they had seen the Spire sooner, I mean, if they had just seen it, period, because they didn't scout across the map, then I'm sure they would have had better responses. I'm sure turrets would have been thrown down, cannons as well, annual pulse crystals into earlier Phoenix production. In general, the response would have been there for our duo. Unfortunately, they didn't get across the map. They didn't see what was happening, despite opening Oracle. Remember, it was double Void Ray into double Oracle, but the Oracles were kept at home. The Oracles were not used to harass, and that's one of the big values here of the Oracle, is not just it's harassing damage, but the scatting information you gain from those oracles. So unfortunately, the oracles, they stayed at home, so 0 scatting from the Protoss. Likewise, you can get away with that at times in 2v2 if maybe we were to scan at one point to try to figure out what was going on. Unfortunately, no scans either, and Serral, he got by undetected, unseen, and he just snowballed out of control. Did snowball out of control. And again, when it came to our responses, we got there in the end when it comes to Phoenixes, but again, a little bit too late after the damage had been done. After things had gone out of hand. Regardless, GG, well played. I do appreciate the duo nonetheless, and again, I appreciate the opener as well. And now we're going to be mixing it up a little bit here. Earlier, we had Revenant Rage with Greenpire. Now he's going to be teaming up with War Bunnies. I did mention before that we are kind of mixing and matching our pairings here, our Joes, if you will, up against Serral to find that sweet spot. And yeah, it is going to be War Bunnies alongside Revenant Rage this time. Double Protoss. Double Protoss. Okay. Here we go. So we're jumping into Emerald City. They still look so much stronger. They do. Like, I did appreciate it. There was more of a back and forth. And even Serral was feeling threatened at times with the Mass Marine. Unfortunately, they were just stuck at home. But here we go. We're getting into our next game. We're getting into our third matchup of the night. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Emerald City, we have our Protoss duo. We have Revenant Rage alongside War Bunnies representing the FSL. The Joes, if you will. The Joes. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have our Finnish Zerg player, our resident pro this week, this edition, representing Basilisk. It is Serral. You don't get better than this. You don't. Jesus. Bringing in the best Zerg player in the world, Serral stepping into the ring. From here, going hatch first. Meanwhile, ooh, okay, we're setting up on the low ground. Now, I would want to believe that Revenant Rage was most likely watching the previous matches and watching the previous series, and I believe they are in call with each other. They are in voice call, they are in VC. And we have both Revenant Rage and War Bunny setting up on the low ground. So we have low ground wall-offs, low ground setups to get ready here for faster expansions. Once again, 2-gate opener out of War Bunnies. Revenant Rage going for potentially something a little bit greedier here. Going gate cyber expands. Okay, yeah, my attention. But once again, here in Emerald City, we have a shared main base and we have a shared natural as well. And yeah, okay, we got here in a different way. So 2-gate opener from War Bunnies. This is gate cybercore into a second gateway. This is a little bit more of an inefficient start here by Revenant Rage. I would have appreciated a faster Nexus, but regardless, we have overall safe openers here from our two players. They're prioritizing walling before expanding. And in a way, this is good in 2v2 ladder, just because I would imagine in 2v2s, all-ins are pretty common. Yeah, 100%. So this does feel like a 2v2 opener. The problem though is that this isn't a 2v2, and because it's only 1v2, I would expect if Serral were to cheese, if he were to go for a 12 pool or a 13-12, it would not work. It would work against one player, but you're up against double the worker count, double the production, double the army. I don't see in this format of Joe versus Pro, I don't see early proxies and early cheese really working too well for the pro player, just because it's a numbers game at a certain point where you have so little to work with against so much, right? The power of an all-in is you're able to catch your opponent when they're being a little bit too greedy, when they're caught unawares, but in a 1v2 setting, you have someone else to help assist you as well. So I don't think it's necessary to be overly safe here against Serral in this kind of show match setting. At least that's my initial thoughts regarding 1v2. It's possible that we might end up in a game where Serral does 12 pool and somehow he's able to overcome 2 mineral lines worth of workers, but especially in a shared base setting, like, no shot. I don't know if I believe that, Bobby. I don't know if I believe that. We'll see though, we'll see. For now, though, we have Revenant Rage dipping into the main. Getting some scouting. Does confirm the economic build here of Serral going for a third. So Hatch got split into a third base. Again, pretty standard economic setup here from Serral. And across the map, we're just now expanding. I say expanding. War Bunnies going up to 4 gates. Okay, our first big sign of aggression early on. This looks like a 1 base all-in. Again, the natural was heavily delayed here for War Bunny. I mean, it's non-existent. It's non-existent here. We have charge on the way from Revenant Rage, throwing down extra gateways, getting his natural saturated, but also getting up to 4 gates. So, yep, it looks like we're all-inning. Okay, it looks like an all-in here. And I do think that all-ins are going to be really powerful in this 2v1 setting. 100% from the Joe's side of things. I feel like all-in's going to be weaker from the pro side, but they're going to be so powerful here from the Joe's side, and we're going for it. So we have a 1 base all-in from War Bunnies. We have like a 1.5 base all-in here from Revenant Rage. We have charge wrapping up. War Bunnies has no upgrade, so they're going to be vanilla stalkers alongside charge lots. War Bunnies has the stalkers. Revenant Rage has the zealots. Lings, they attempt to surround. They catch out. Oh, barely not the zealots. And again, like, this army is just huge. We spoke about this before, but I do favor trying to all in the pro here just because it's a numbers game. And yeah, Spine Crawlers on the way, Queens are setting up, but alas, the zealots, the stalkers, they're gonna break through this. They're gonna bust through this in the end. Spine Crawlers gonna be falling. Lings, they do get a pseudo surround here on some of these stalkers. Not bad. 2 stalkers going down. The zealots as well. Nice surround. Serral, he gets a surround. Oh my god. This should not have the zealots. The zealots are too late. This should not have happened. Stalkers, they get cleaned up. No shot in Serral. He's holding. He's holding on. Will lose one of his Spine Crawlers, but the other does complete. The Queens, they barely hold on. And that was a clutch hold out of Serral. Oh my god. You could argue we were a little bit premature. We needed more zealots. We needed more zealots here to support the stalkers. Or you could argue as well, on the one hand, did need more zealots. On the other hand, War Bunnies got too excited. Where did he go? He attacked further into creep despite not having these zealots, so overly confident. Just overconfidence there from War Bunnies. He dove too far in, he got surrounded, he got shut down, and Serral, he holds. And now suddenly, our duo are in a rough position. Suddenly, Serral, he didn't lose any economy. He's on a solid drone count. He's on a 2.5 base setup. He's droning up to 3 bases, and War Bunnies is stuck on 1 expansion. War Bunnies stuck on 1 expansion. Likewise, Revenant Rage just now trying to saturate his own natural as well. After surviving the all-in, I want to say that Serral is in a better position. He is in a better position here. Whew. He weathered the storm, Pat. He was crazy. Did weather the storm. Behind this, getting into Roaches, getting into Roach Ravager. Again, that was a clutch hold. And we have Revenant Rage taking up into Storm. Okay, so 2 bases. I mean, he has a better economy. He can get into Storm. He could also give some of his resources to his teammate to help him along. As again, War Bunnies is going to be a non-factor for the near future. Again, he has Vanilla Stalkers, 1 base, just now trying to take up in towards Charge himself. Interesting choice. Prism gets across him to harass. We have the Zealot drop, but the Queens will zone. And Serral is holding. Here we go. Revenant Rage going to be forced back. We have more gates on the way. Jesus. We have a gateway explosion on the way alongside Double Forge. So this is where we're triple. Wait, what? Am I looking at the right? Jesus. Okay, there we go. Does cancel them in the end. But Double Forge, we got the Bay on the way, we got a little bit of everything. This is where this is becoming very inefficient here from Revenant Rage. I think early on it was fine, but he is taking and throwing down a lot of production because of all the forges and all the tech. This tells us that most likely setting up towards a longer game. This is not an all-in, but he cannot afford all of this on 2 bases. He needs a third. He needs to expand, and we have an army to do so. Yes, there are Lings parked outside, but with this many Archons, Stalkers, and Zealots, our duo, they can expand. They can totally break out and expand. They need their 3rd bases, as Serral's getting a 4th. This is also where I would say what's the word I'm looking for? But you can be maybe a little bit too scared. I think fear is maybe a factor as well. I mean, you're up against Serral, right? Serral, he is the best Zerg player in the world. Like, he's crazy. So I understand being very hesitant to go for certain moves, to expand, to move out. We even saw that in the last game, where both the duo of Nuke and War Bunnies, they weren't really aggressive. They didn't push across the map whatsoever. They didn't scout, maybe being a little bit too fearful of Serral. Likewise, I feel like our late expansions might be alongside those lines as well, where we can totally expand and take a third base, but we are being very, very cautious about that. Overly cautious. I think that's maybe a better way of putting it. Instead of being scared, just being overly cautious against Serral, and is allowing Serral to get away with a greater economy. And now taking into lurkers. Like, Serral's in a beautiful position here, and both our Protoss players are kind of struggling to maintain themselves. To make up for that, I do like the gold. The gold is a good way to recover for a late third, but I'm concerned because, mate, Serral, he's on a hive. He's already at hive tech. We have hive upgrades on the way. Serral, he's pushing. This gold base is too late. It's not going to get up and running. It is too little too late here for Revenant Rage. And last War Bunny's still trying to break out, still trying to expand. The Lunkers, they have arrived. Do we have any detection? We have double Stargate on the way from War Bunny. Let's go. Working towards Skytos. Getting there. The go base is going to be denied. Stalker's being somewhat active. Remember, there's still no blink. Serral, he is amassing his army, getting ready to push right down mid. Now, pushing into this is not going to be easy, but Serral doesn't need to. To be honest, the win condition for Serral can just be denied the third. Just be contain the two players. Oh no, the Colossus! Colossus is going to get caught out. Massive pickup. First Colossus goes down. Nice storm here on the Lings. Storm does pop off. But the Stalkers are zoned away. There is the Observer with the main army, with at least Revenant's army. I like the idea of attempting a surround, but War Bunnies is still not recovered. War Bunnies is still on Vanilla Stalker and Charge Lots. Ooh, the spine shots are brutal. Yeah, breaking down that choke point. Army's trying to move in, but pushing into a concave of lurkers is not going to work out well. We come with a surround. No. But the Protoss army melts, and Serral, he does it. He breaks through, snowballs out of control. As he can just force himself up the ramp. GG gets called. And both War Bunnies and Revenants, they are gonna tap out. They're gonna tap out, and Serral, he will claim his third win. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Serral, he will claim his third win. He will take down War Bunnies and Revenant. Very impressive defense there by Serral. I'll be honest, I did like the mid-game of Nuke and War Bunnies last time, but here I was favoring War Bunnies and Revenant with their all-in. I was favoring their all-in. I was favoring their approach. I do think that was very powerful, but if you recall, as we saw, it was a little bit mishandled. I would say that they probably had to wait a little bit longer for extra Zealot reinforcements and then come in together. It did feel like they got a little bit too ahead of themselves there, and the Stalkers, they got surrounded, they got caught off guard, they got shut down. With that, GG. GG, well played. Serral, a very impressive defense here, able to survive the aggression, able to catch out the army one at a time. And with that, Serral does it again. He survives the all-in. Impressive, Fabi, impressive. GG, GG, well played. And that leads us into our next pairing. Okay, we have Revenant Rage, this time not with War Bunny, this time with Nuke. So we have another PvT duo, but a different setup here of our Protoss and Terran going up against Serral. We're going to be loading into Yellow Jackets. Let's go. Let us go. And I'm curious if we attempt another all-in or if we take a different approach here. Spawning in the right-hand corner, we have our duo of Joes here. We have our Terran, we have our Protoss, we have Nuke and Revenant Rage for the FSL. Representing the FSL. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have their opponents. We have the Finnish Zerg player, the Blue Zerg. Representing Basilisk, it is Serral. Here we go. And so far, once again, Yellow Jacket is one of the newer 2v2 maps in the map pool. I say newer, I guess it was released maybe a year ago, maybe less than a year ago at this point, when the 2v2 ladder map pool was revamped. Great to see, of course. And this, once again, has a shared main base, has somewhat of a shared natural. There are multiple entrances towards the natural here, so that is going to be a factor coming into this. It could become an issue. Meanwhile, CC first. Okay, see, this is what I want to see, all right? This is what I want to see. Just cut corners. What are the chances that Serral is going to cheese in a 1v2 setting? It's very low. It's a safe opener. Hatch pool. It's going to be a hatch pool opener out of Serral, so very safe play here from our Zerg player. But just be wild. CC first here from our Terran. We do see Revenant Rage going for, once again, a gate expand, it looks to be. Or gate cyber expand. So standard opener by Protoss, but our Terran here is cutting corners, which I appreciate. I do appreciate that here in this setting. I feel like you have some freedom to cut a lot of corners and be wild here, given the opportunity to go up against Serral. And I feel like that's what you need to do here if you want to bring him down. Cut corners, be hyper greedy, be assertive, be confident, Bappy, be confident. Go. As this is the same build. No, my apologies. Oh my, this is not the same build. I was gonna say it was a gate and a cybercore into second gateway, but now we have a third and now we have a fourth gateway as well. So, geez, we're rushing into early Twilight Council, into potentially early charge again. Really interesting setup. We have our Terran being very greedy. We have our Protoss being hyper aggressive. We'll see how they are able to come into this hand in hand. The Overlord is coming in for a scout. It confirms no expansion on location. Doesn't go further than that. Does not go further. Serral setting up here on the low ground. And we have our 4 gates set up here from Revenant. Not just 4 gateways, we have a proxy as well. And we're going into DT. Okay, it's going to be 4-gate DT rush here. I mean, going to be 5 gateways, I would imagine, with that proxy. So, hyper aggression here from Revenant Rage. We have an early Roach Warren from Serral. Serral, he confirms there's still no expansion from the Protoss, so he knows something is wrong. He hasn't seen the build, but he knows that there's no base, and that is enough of a tell. He sees Terran has expanded, and now he's going further in, and Serral, oh no! He was going to scout, but the Marine will deny it. Yeah, the Marine does deny the scout. Serral is in the dark. He's playing safe, going for an early lair before expand. That does mean that he has access to earlier overseers. Gateway's on the way. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. It's going to be clutch. Serral trying to go further in. But again, the Overlord is down to half HP. Okay, he does heal the gates. He does confirm all the gateways. This is already ringing alarm bells. Roach production has begun. And Serral up. Will he see? Up. He will. He will confirm the Dark Shrine. Whew. Does barely confirm. The scout is not denied. And the lair finishes up just in time for an Overseer. Just in time. So it doesn't even need spores. And he's already on the ramp. He has a full wall at the ramp. Overseers on the way. Roaches are amassing. We have 4 DTs warping in. And they shouldn't achieve too much here. They can maybe kill the queens. Maybe. Not even. Queens back up. Roaches in position. DTs waddling in. And they're about to be met by the Roaches. Yeah, they're going to be shut down. Force to morph into an Archon. And there's no saving this. There's no saving this. A nice shutdown here by Serral. He does clean up the army. And with that, our Protoss player is in a rough position. Very late natural and late saturation. So Revenant Rage, he's in a very rough position here. He has to try to transition out of this and try to macro. What I will say though is that on the one hand, our Protoss players sacrificed their economy. On the other hand, Nuke, guys, look at rushing into BC. He's crazy. Oh my god. I was so distracted by the Protoss, and I think Serral was distracted as well. We did not pay attention to the Terran. CC first into 2-port BC. This can end the game. 2-port BC can end the game straight up. Just move across the map, kill the queens, GG. Like, we've seen this time and time again. Serral is going for a counterattack, but he has no idea what's happening. He has no idea what's coming. No. No. Ravagers are morphing in. I mean, again, this would be, I mean, Serral would be fine when it comes to killing the Protoss and even dealing some damage to the Terran. Now, what this can do is that this will most likely force a Terran, force Nuke to reveal his BCs defensively. The problem is they can just teleport across the map. And again, the anti-air here is very limited for Serral. He has Queens and that's it. And he only has 4. And there it is. BC is revealed. Serral does no turning back. He has to commit. Biles will connect. The Protoss army is going to be crumbling. The boys are being pulled. And back it over. Spores are on the way. Queens are on the way. Again, it is beneficial that he attacked here because he sees the Roaches at least. But doesn't matter. Oh, as he teleports. Yeah, he's on a timer. He teleports. Spores are not done. Drone's going to be going down. And these BCs, they're getting damage done. Now, at the same time, the Roach Ravager annihilates the natural of the Protoss, annihilates the natural of the Terran player, and is pushing into the main. Can Serral end the game in the base trade? Well, that's what we have here. We have a base trade. Serral, he pulls away, massing up his Queens. Spores are finishing. Serral, he is committed here across. Oh no! He's committed for the DTs! There are DTs to defend, and there is zero detection. Oh, wait, no, there is. Okay. Whew. Overseer comes back. Overseer comes back. Does deal with the DTs, takes down the starports, and he's going for the other as well. He's denying any additional BCs. Very smart decision making here from Serral. Takes down both starports. Only 2 battlecruisers. Only 2. And this is manageable. The BCs are low. BCs are low, but the Queen count is low as well. More BCs building up. Serral, he dives on the Immortals, getting more economic damage. Serral, what does he have? He has 2 Queens and a couple of Spores. He's slowly leapfrogging forward. He saves the expansion. Roach Ravager killing more workers. Some SCVs were saved from the natural. Bear that in mind. Which is also why I feel like Serral should be focusing on the Terran. I feel like the Terran is the biggest threat right now. Like, the Protoss is on a 1-base economy, that is true, but they can't really warp in too much. Yeah, more boys are being pulled, more probes are going to be going down. But again, Nuke saved SCVs, and he has mules as well. Oh my god, he snipes one! No shot. He gets a BC. No, oh my god. Doesn't get the other? That should not have happened. Very nice moves here out of Serral. Snipes the BC with the Biles. Takes out more SCVs. Catches more probes. Biles connect. As dust settles, Revenant's Rage is stuck on 10 workers. Sorry, 12. 12 probes left here for Revenant Rage. Meanwhile, Nuke is likewise on a 1.5 base economy. He's got 1 base saturation at the natural, and if he does bring the boys back, he will have 2 bases. So he will have a 2 base saturation with a 3rd TC finishing up as well. So the Terran is still a threat. I would say the Protoss is a non-factor for the near future until they recover. And Serral, he's building back up. Spire is on the way to help deal with this. We have double starport being rebuilt, so it looks like Nuke wants to commit into mass BC. Now, the plus side for Serral is that if we're going back into mass BC, it's going to take a while because we have to build the starports and the tech labs. And BCs take a while to build up as well. So I do think that this is going to give Serral a lot of time. My concern right now is that Serral, he hasn't seen this. He doesn't know what the Terran is going back into. It's going to be BC with a double armory for those ship weapon upgrades, I would imagine. SCVs did race back. Yep, full 2 base saturation. 3rd base now on location. Like, again, like Nuke, the Terran is becoming a problem. Meanwhile, Serral setting up for some Roach counterattacks. We have Burrow on the way, Tunneling Claws. Spire is done. But Serral, he needs to know what he has to make. What I mean by that, he needs to come in to harass and also to scout this to let himself know to make Corruptors. Right now, he's going into Muta. Mutas are not ideal against BCs. Against a low amount of BCs, are going to be okay, but ideally, you do want those Corruptors instead. We'll see if Serral can get away with this. Roach is moving in, they catch out the Hellions. They should force a response by that BC. The problem is that seeing one battlecruiser is not enough. Because Serral, he already knows that there's one BC. Serral, he didn't see the second starport. But seeing the first one is a tell that he's going back into BC production. So that is a tell at least. Serral is aware. Roaches are burrowing in. Currently 0 detection. There are scans. There we go. Mutas, they hit the right hand side. They distract the Protoss. Roaches going for the Terran mineral lines. There's the recall. Where's the Unburrow? There we go. BCs are revealed. Very important moment here for Serral. Roaches, they unburrow. SCVs are going to be going down. Yamato's going up. Mutas do struggle, but instantly, once the BCs are seen, Corruptors. Corruptors are on the way. Corruptor production has begun. Roaches, they pop in, they pop out. They're pulling the Terran player apart. And I do think it's important that the Terran is targeted. That Serral, he targets the Terran. Getting more SCV kills, BCs, they teleport across the map. Oh wait, no, sorry, they teleport into the main. Oh. I mean, they will help defend. But the base goes down. The third base does fall, and Serral, he's doing it again. He's pulling them apart. He's crazy. Burrows, gets into the middle line, and SCV's going for the CC. Yeah, going for the orbital. He's going to get it. He will kill the natural. And now the Terran is also a non-factor. Now there's no economy. Now they're all in. Nuke and Revenant, they're all in. There's a lot of BCs. Jeez, that's how many? That's 5. 5 BCs here for Nuke. This counterattack, this still has potential to end the game. We need Corruptors. We need more and more Corruptors here to deal with this. There's a couple of boys being pulled as well to repair, and you can see, yep, they're working in unison. We're committing to the all-in. We have Mass BC, we have Archon Immortal. Not the biggest army here from our Terran and Protoss duo, but a threatening army nonetheless. Serral trying to engage ahead of time. Archon's coming in. He gets 1 BC so far. He gets 1. He gets 2. He gets 2. He's going to get all 3s. He should be able to claim all 4, just barely. What about the ground army, though? The Roaches are kiting back, and GG gets called. He cleans up the army. Nuke, he taps out. And Revenant, there's not enough here. There's not enough here to keep going. There's nothing at home to defend. GG, well played. And Serral, he takes it. He survives. And Serral, he will take down the duo of Nuke and Revenant. GG. Whew. GG, well played. A spicy one, Papi. This was great. I appreciate the unique builds. Again, like the looming threat of 2-port BC, which was unscouted, which was dealing damage. He was able to deal economic damage, able to reset the queen count initially. Like, a lot of chaos was being caused, and there was definitely a lot of potential for our duo. Serral, he did claw his way into that, though. He did claw his way back in. I loved the tri-prong harassment, the Roaches and the Mutas hitting 3 places at once, and in doing so, scouted the BCs to let Serral know to make Corruptors. To let him know he was able to make the Corruptors in the end, able to build up, and able to make it through. GG. GG, well played. It's intense, Pappy, intense. Oh my god. GG, well played. I mean, another Protoss could take a map over Serral. I mean, some of these games have been quite close. I'll be honest. Like the previous game on Emerald City, and even this game as well on Yellow Jacket. Like Serral, he was bleeding. Like he was not like untouchable against these 2 players. So, or against the previous duos that we featured. So there's potential. There's definitely room for improvement, room for growth. Likewise, I'm sure Serral, he's also adapting to the idea of playing and scouting 2 opponents and 2 players. Like it's all coming together. It's all coming together. And here we go. We're getting into our final matchup, our final pairing. We have a duo of War Bunnies and Greenpire. Again, Greenpire, who was featured at the beginning of the broadcast. And we'll see what his return looks like here alongside his Terran teammate. Let's go. Sorry, his Protoss teammate. As we are jumping into Crimson Research Lab. And And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner. The bottom right-hand corner, we have our FSL duo. We have our American Protoss, American Zerg player, both red. We have War Bunnies and Greenpire, our Joes. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have their opponent. We have the Finnish Zerg player. We have the Blue Zerg representing Basilisk, our pro for the event. It is Serral. We go. Whew, oh my god. But yeah, honestly, it's been really fun to see some of these builds, some of these strategies from our players almost working against Serral. I do feel like with some refinements and with some slightly better execution, some of those would have worked against Serral 100%. But Serral, he did Serral things. He was able to claw his way back into it. I'm most impressed by the Emerald City game. I'll be honest. I'm most impressed by Emerald City. And we'll see how we adjust coming into the final best of one of the event. Final best of one. So far, Hatch first. Hatch, Gas Pool out of Greenpire, standard opener. Likewise, Serral going Hatch, Gas Pool as well. Coming into Crimson Research Lab, we do have a shared main base. We have a very large natural, and once again, multiple entrances. We have a very wide entrance here on the right. We have a more narrow choke point leading into a pocket expansion. So because of that, we may even see Serral like indulge in a greater economy here. We'll see what third base he goes for. We'll see if he's able to maintain himself. What I will say though is that the natural base here and the third alongside it, very large, very wide, a lot of space here in these bases, and maybe not the easiest for a single player to defend. We'll see how our players approach this as War Bunnies gate expand. A gate expand economic opener out of War Bunnies. Meanwhile, we do have a Greenpire going for, again, a standard opener. So far, economic starts. Do we embrace a normal standard game? That's a forge. Never mind. Yo, we cannon rushing? Gates into forge? Into cybercore? I believe there's no probe, though. Huh. Okay, all right. Let him cook. Yeah. So it's an early forge timing, but there's no setup for a cannon rush. So early +1 into early charge. What's the plan back? Where are we going? Where are we dropping? Where are we dropping? So we'll keep an eye on our Protoss here. I'm still trying to piece together what the hell's going on here. Meanwhile, we do have our Zerg just taking a third base, droning up. Ooh, that is a very early Baneling nest. A very early nest here from Greenpire. He may be looking at Bane Bust. At least he should be. Like, there's no reason to get a Baneling nest this early on. There is no reason. Does feel like a Bane Bust. Meanwhile, we do see War Bunnies going for a Stargate. Looks like he just opened up Forge to be safe. Once again, I feel like in the 2v1 format, you don't need to be this safe. You don't need these cannons. You have your teammate to help support you. Mate, your teammate's going Ling Bane. He's rushing Ling Bane even, so you should be fine. So I'm not too fond of this idea, but it does kind of lend towards the idea of maybe rushing into Sky Toss. Maybe that's the plan. Serral dips in. Serral does confirm the Stargate. Serral is aware of what the Protoss is up to. Meanwhile, Greenpire is amassing links. And Greenpire did drone somewhat, but not too much. 10 workers at the natural. Oh, Serral gets a full scout. He does scout the Baneling nest. He knows. Does scout the Baneling nest. Serral, he has no nest of his own. I worry for Serral's defense because we're link flooding. Yeah, we're going for the all-in. Greenpire is going for the all-in. He's going for the Bane Bust. Now, in ZVZ, it is so difficult to defend against a Bane Bust without a Baneling nest of your own. In the mid-game, I'm referring to. Early on, it's possible with Queens and with early control. But this late into the game, Serral, no Roach Warren, he saw the nest. I'm sure Serral, he's hoping that maybe there's some droning going on. He's going to confirm, and oh boy, here comes the all-in. Here comes the all-in from Greenpire, just mass Ling Bane. Serral back at home, he's got a Spine Crawler on the way. That's going to help, but I don't know if that's going to be enough, I'll be honest. There's no Roaches, there's no Banelings, there's no nothing. Serral being so greedy this game. Yeah, he's being so greedy. Queens move in, there's no transfuse. Yeah, there's no energy. Lings building up once again, pushing forward. It's looking close. Nice target firing on the Banelings. He gets one, he gets two. gets all four. He gets all four, but more are waddling in. They don't get the connections, but the Queens get surrounded anyway. Oh my god, massive connection. Queens get surrounded, and Serral's been broken. He has been broken. You know, War Bunny's trying to get into his own Skytoss, trying to get into his own build, but nah, Green Pyre comes in. He does punish the greed from Serral. He takes down the Queens, takes down the Spine Crawler, busts into main. The Oracle does come in for some support. Thankfully, War Bunny sees a part of this. Oracle goes down to the Spore, but it's about the links. It's about the links here. And again, Serral did cut too many corners, was a little bit too greedy. Looks like with reinforcements, he might be able to hold on, but alas, he has lost so much already here at the natural. The Queens as well. And Green Pyre is still flooding lanes, still just flooding across the map, still reinforcing. It's a numbers game at this point. He's overwhelming the links here of Serral. He breaks through that defensive line. GG gets called, and Serral taps out. The Joes, they've done it. They take down Serral 2-1. Oh, sorry, they take him down in the 2v1 on Crimson Research Lab. GG. GG. Ooh, GG, well played. Serral being too greedy towards the end there. Again, Serral, he even scouted the Bailey nest, but he didn't throw down a Bailey nest of his own, or he didn't start a Roach Horn of his own. Remember, he had 0 tech, purely Ling Queen and a Spine Crawler to hold. And in the end, Serral, he was overwhelmed. He was caught out. In the end, we saw the win from the Joes. GG. GG, well played. So not a completely one-sided series, and honestly this is almost like a 1v1 almost. The reality is that I'm sure part of the greed of Serral was also because of the opener of his opponent, the opener of War Bunnies, the Protoss player I mean, and not respecting Green Pyre's build as much, and with that caught off guard, overwhelmed. GG, well played. Whew, oh my god. And I appreciate that we were able to fight back. Maybe not in the way that I would have hoped with the Ling Flood, with the Bane bust, but in the end it did work out well here. We had Serral looking dominant here throughout most of these 1v2s, surviving all-ins, getting into the mid-game, getting into a longer game state, even maxing out as well multiple times, but at the end was cheesed out by the duo of War Bunnies and Green Pyre. And War Bunnies, he was a part of it in the end. He had that one Oracle. He helped. He helped in some way. A little bit. did help a little bit, Bobby. A little bit. Aye. GG, well played. Shout out to Serral, of course, for taking part in the show matches, and a big shout out to the FSL boys, for the Joes, for the FSL Joes, if you will, for likewise taking part, for pairing up as well, and for coming together to allow for this to occur. And I believe there is an interview to go over as well. I believe there is an interview, so I do want to try to set that up, that they did hold with Serral at the end, getting their thoughts, and the thoughts of some of the players as well, I believe. Un momento. Hold on, let me just try to set that up. And then we can get that going.
With that, and
all right, do we want to go to interviews now?
yeah, well, we can give them for with
12-year-old Celsius red. You know, not necessarily, not.
Okay. I'm curious what they asked him. I'm curious what Serral's thoughts are when it comes to this format as well. Curious. Let's find out. Huh.
did almost do it with all those queens. That was awesome.
Oh.
All right, let's bring him in.
All right, Serral did suffer a GG at the very end, but that was 4-1. Congratulations to War Bunny's Green Pyre for getting one on the check mark on the list, but especially Serral, welcome. How you doing there?
Doing good, thank you. Was some fun games there. Didn't manage to take the last one, but that's how it goes sometimes.
Sometimes it does. We were mentioning Greenpire and War Bunny is definitely more experienced duo. The other stuff we set against you. How was that? Were there any points before then that you felt like you were in danger?
Well, one of the games where I got like it was like a Stalker plus Zealot all in.
Yeah, Emerald
I
City.
think it was pretty close. But and actually the BC game as well was pretty close. I didn't really
Yeah.
expect the BCs and didn't really have a solution for them too fast. But yeah, a couple of them I think were pretty close. But I did play relatively greedy. I felt like most matches. I didn't really get punished too hard, so it was somewhat comfortable.
One thing that was brought up is you've recently been participating in Euthermal's 2v2 series. So have you gotten pretty familiar with the 2v2 maps now?
Yeah, I play like 60 games, so that's enough to get used to the maps at least. And a lot of these maps have been in the pool for like 10 years already now. So
True.
I mean, I've played some before as well, but yeah, I know the maps for sure.
All right. Hey, Serral, this is KJ. Good to see you again. Thanks for doing this for us. For Storm FSL. Appreciate
No
you
worries.
playing. And maybe one question from each of the players, and then we can move
Each
on.
of our Joes.
Yeah,
Let's
just one
start
question.
with Greenpire. Do you have a question to ask our special guest?
Yeah. How did it feel to come and waste an evening with us, play against all the Joes?
Well, I mean, it was fun. It's never wasted if it's fun. So it's a nice experience. I never actually did these 1-on-2s. At least I can't remember doing. So it's something different. And the games were interesting and enjoyable. So it felt fine.
Great question.
Excellent. Thank you so much for doing this.
All right. Who's next?
War Bunnies.
I just want to thank you so much for doing this, Serral. This was the thrill. For us low player, you play pros all the time. For us low players, it's a real treat to see because you watch, you play, and it's a difference between watching and then actually experience how unbelievably quick and the game knowledge you have is pretty great. I just wanted to thank you for letting me play against you. So I don't really have a question. Just thank you.
Save the replay.
Thank you too as well.
Yes.
All right, Nuke. Do you have an actual question?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It was really fun to play against you. The first big StarCraft like tournament I followed was the BlizzCon where you beat Stats, and that was like an insane series. So I really liked watching that, and I just started following the pro scene ever since that. And yeah, I guess, how do you think you could do 3v1 pretty comfortably around, or would you have to take lower players, or like, or could you do 2v1 masters maybe, stuff like that? What's like the thresholds for that?
Well, I do think 2v1 is already pretty hard. I think even if you guys played a little bit differently, it would have been probably a bit harder on some of the matches. But yeah, 3v1 does at least seem pretty impossible to me. Just because when the supplies go higher, it's well, 600 supply versus 200 supply. There's not much. There's not much you can do. But obviously, technically, I guess there's ways to finish games faster as well. But I do think 3 players is a bit much for anyone. And yeah, even this is it's on the very edge. I think I have to cut a lot of corners to win games, and then I'm open and vulnerable to stuff for sure.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
All right. And last, Reppin' Rage.
Oh, Bunny's had something to say.
My son wants us to go to Finland in the winter. Do you have any recommendations about a time of month? He wants to go March or February.
Well, it might be already pretty gray then. It's not the best winter time anymore. Snow's starting.
Well, this would be for next year.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I do think like December is the best if you want to experience the Christmas time for sure, or January as well.
Is it super dark? I mean, the temperature-wise is about the same as it is here. It's normally warmer in Helsinki than it is here, but is it dark there?
It is fairly dark, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's at worst it gets dark around like 4, well, like even 3 p.m. actually at the worst times, and
Oh, that's not that bad. I was thinking it might be like we only get to see a couple hours if we go too close to the solstice.
yeah, it depends where you're used to, I guess, what you're used to. But yeah, it's not bad if you have similar weather conditions where you are at. Then I mean, it's pretty similar most likely. But for sure, like I do think the December, January, somewhere there is would be the best time. But even after that, it can be fine. But at the same time, there's already a little bit of a risk that it's just all cray.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Thank you.
And if
Alright.
StarCraft doesn't work out, Serral can double as War Bunny's travel agent.
I know. All right. And Revenant
Let's get Revenant Rage in there, though.
So yeah, like I was talking to Jerkin about earlier, I just wanted to see if I could get a shout out for my stepdad, Kyle Serral. Like I told you before, he's a really big fan of yours.
Yeah, absolutely. You said his name was Kyle?
Yep.
Shout out to Kyle, and keep working on that Zerk. It's gonna improve eventually.
Nice.
But
Alright.
yeah, other than that, thanks for the games.
Yep.
No worries.
Loving all the father-son
Yeah.
combos as far as the questions go here.
Yeah. And one last question from me to Serral. Right? So, Serral, one last question for you. Will you go with me to go get max packs and just go to a home story cup?
Well, I don't know if I have enough power for that, but we can try. We can try.
Yeah, we'll get him out.
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty, so
That'll do
once
it.
again, thank you to Serral, thank you to all of our FSL players, and thank you to everyone who's watching us. We are planning to do more of these.
All right.
As well as, like I said, some other events where we're going to be having pros and Joes teaming up in a little 2v2 bracket.
Great.
All right.
Thanks, Serral. Thanks, everyone. See you guys. Later.
GG, well played. So shout out to the team, shout out to the FSL boys and KJ and Hyper Turtle for actually having and holding the interview. As we into some big shots as well in the chat. Thank you so much to G1ster or Ginster. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the Twitch Prime. We do appreciate it. It was interesting to hear Serral's thoughts. As we were kind of mentioning, I guess he thought so as well. The games on Emerald City and the games on Yellow Jacket were really close. They were really intense. It was fun that they were able to ask him like what he thought about maybe introducing a third player for a 3v1 sort of kind of scenario. I would say that especially because they're the way that they're approaching this is straight up 1v2 where the pro player starts with only one base. I don't think it's quite possible. If they start with 2 bases, and I think that would be like a possible scenario, but looks like they're going to be limiting it to 2 players and again to diamond players as well. And yeah, honestly, I think they're really good matches. Even Serral himself said that like for some of those games, like if there was again like a slightly better execution or different decisions made, then they would have even gone the way of the duo. So I do think it's quite competitive. And what I'm most interested in here is that if it was as close as it was with Serral up against 2 players, how will other players look like here? Again, this is going to be like a Showmatch series where the FSL team and the Psystorm team, they're going to be bringing in multiple players over the course of the next couple of months. I don't know exactly who they're going to bring in, but mate, if they get Serral, I can imagine Clem, I can imagine Max Pax as well. I feel like Max Pax is going to be a given. Maybe some of the Koreans, that I'm less certain of. I don't know if they're going to be able to like bring on like a translator to actually hold an interview for that, but at least from the foreign side of things, I'm sure they'll bring them on. I don't know about Rainer. Rainer, he's busy in the Rift, Pappy, so I don't know if he's willing to play this. But I can see like Clem, Max Pax, and of course some of the other big European names, maybe Showtime, Skilless, Nikita as well. Definitely a lot to look forward to when it comes to how they approach the 1v2 setting, 1v2 format. I would have loved to have asked Serral if like, hey, who do you want to bring on? like who do you want to see go up against the FSL boys? That would have been a fun question as well to have heard his opinion on that. But regardless, it was great to hear from all of them as well. And to see Serral having a good time. Like, again, not the most serious of show matches, but a fun time nonetheless. Fun time nonetheless. How did Serral lose? He got all in. He got Ling flooded. He got Ling flooded by Green Pyre. I say it was a Ling Bane all in. It was a Ling Bane all in of like a 1.5 base economy. So it did tie to an all in. And Serral himself was saying that he was just a little bit too greedy. He was just a little bit too greedy in that game. Wasn't necessarily respecting the potential all-in from his opponent, and in the end was overwhelmed. But with that, GG. With that, GG, well played. Hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Again, this was a more kind of like fun and chill setting, just a bunch of best of ones, bunch of 1v2s, and expect more of this in the future. I think Hyper Turtle, he was just mentioning how we are looking to maybe get some like proper like 2v2s. I believe the 2v2 format that they're looking at is that they would have a pro player on either side with a diamond player alongside them. So imagine like, you know, Serral paired with like Nuke or War Bunnies, and then you have, you know, another pro player like a Max Pax with like a Revenant or a Nuke or whatsoever, and then you just like, you rotate, you switch them out, you mix them back and forth. And what I would love if when that is to come to pass, I love the idea of hearing some of their communications, hearing some of their voice comms. I would imagine for the most part the pro player would be trying to dictate what the Joe would do. Maybe not. Maybe the opposite. Maybe the other way around. I'm sure they'd have a good time. I look forward to it. Do look forward to it. Otherwise, GG. Well played. Hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Hope you all had a great time. And again, look forward to more of these in the future. More of these Joes versus Pros. Pros versus Joes. Look forward to it. Get a bit of a shorter broadcast here this morning. After this, we're going to be wrapping up. We don't have another broadcast later on tonight. I believe our next broadcast should be tomorrow instead. If we have a look at our schedule here, bam, there we go. We have our weekly schedule. We just wrapped up with our Friday broadcast of FSL, and tomorrow we're going to be live with StarCraft Evolution League. That is going to be a show match. Between Uthermal and Classic. Uthermal and Classic, they're going to be facing off in the SEL, in the show match in StarCraft Evolution. We have Duckling Open in the evening. We have Sparkling Tuna Cup on Sunday evening as well. And I believe we have the Uthermal 2v2 tournaments. Uthermal 2v2 is going to be after Sparkling Tuna Cup. If you're curious, we don't cast the Uthermal 2v2 circuit live, but we do admin. We admin it, we work on it behind the scenes, and we cast the replays after the fact. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Some more 2v2 action coming at you Sunday evening or Monday morning. At least here in Australia. I believe it'll be Sunday evening in Europa. And in the Americas instead. So look forward to that. So plenty of StarCraft, plenty more StarCraft to come. But we are done for this morning. And again, a bit of a shorter broadcast. More than happy to have a lighter show here this week. A little bit of a leaner schedule for us, which we are thankful for. I am thankful for. And you know what that means? That means it's time to ladder. It is time to play some StarCraft. I do plan on hopping on over to my personal channel, to my personal stream, to play some ladder games. I have been laddering for the past 2 days, and we've been slowly regaining our skills, slowly getting back on that horse. Again, because our schedule has been so intense for the past couple of months, I just haven't had the luxury of playing StarCraft since properly since October of last year, around October, September. So I'm very out of practice, and I miss it. I miss laddering, I miss playing. I do enjoy it. It's just we've been playing so much, and for those that are curious, typically we cast twice a day every single day, and I don't ladder on those days because it's very draining, and I don't want that to negatively impact the cast. But on some of these days where we only have one cast a day, we can ladder, we can stream, we can jump in back, so that is the plan. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. Check out our social medias here to support us, to know when we go live. !socials in the chats. We do post on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We have a Discord. We have a TikTok. We have a Mastodon, Blue Sky, all things CranKy Ducklings. You can check us out on YouTube as well. We are live on YouTube as we speak. And our VODs are available on YouTube immediately as well. So if you cannot watch this live, if you want to tune in, check out the VODs. VODs are available. Otherwise, I'm gonna head off. Buenos dias. Adios, buenos dias. Yeah, it's fine, it's fine. Buenos dias, baby, buenos dias. It's midday here, it's midday. But otherwise, with that, we're wrapping up. Our next broadcast again is tomorrow with the StarCraft Evolution League at 11 a.m. KST. And we'll see you next time. Oh, also, you can support us on Patreon if you wish. Exclamation mark Patreon in the chat. You'll get a link to our Patreon page where you can help fund and help support our tournaments. Otherwise, we will see you guys tomorrow for the StarCraft Evolution League. I'm gonna go live on my personal channel. We're gonna ladder for a couple of hours. We're gonna smurge, incredibly so, and we'll have some fun. See you then. See you there, Pappy. See you there. Otherwise, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Ciao, Pappy. Ciao. See you next time.